Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. Madame Bovary. By Gustave Flaubert. However, Gustave Flaubert underlined his societal critique of French provincial life in the 19th century in his novel Emma Bovary, which centers on the heroine Emma. Marital discord and infidelity are the novel's central topic. Flaubert created a new term, Bovarism, which refers to people's predisposition to feel that they are distinct from the rest of the population and that they were created for a specific purpose, like Emma. The central character's crisis serves as a dividing line between the novel's three sections. We get a glimpse into Emma and Charles' lives before the wedding in the first section. After that, we learn about their dreary marriage and why Emma was dissatisfied with it. Emma's dilemma was sparked by the previously described illness, which led to their relocation. Her only way out of the minor province where she was a slave was to commit adultery. Emma moves to Rouen after her first lover dumped her and she encounters her second lover. Emma's financial debts and psychological instability increased with each disaster. This work, in contrast to others, is quite static in its depiction of the life of a lady who is battling boredom and restrictions. Flaubert, as opposed to Balzac, chose the province as the setting for the majority of his works. Even if there is nothing damning in the book now, society in 1856 began debating it, and Flaubert ended himself in court over it. Literature plays a significant role in daily life, as the court, plaintiff, and defense all agreed. The breaking point was the impact that literature has on the lives of the average person. It is important to distinguish between truth and fiction, and this is what the defense emphasized while the plaintiff kept on citing the novel's detrimental impact on the children. They thought it was an attack on public morality and an attempt to legitimize a prominent character's adultery in the novel. Charles Bovary is the protagonist of the book. He becomes a doctor thanks to his mother's perseverance in getting him through high school. After he got a job at a local business, his mother made him marry her daughter. He got married to a woman who was always moaning about her heart problems and feeling neglected. Charles' wife died of a heart attack when his mother-in-law, who is a know-it-all, started arguing with her. The owner of an estate suffers a broken leg, and Charles is dispatched to see to him. Due to the man's daughter Emma, he becomes a regular visitor. Emma agreed to marry Charles after he requested her to do so. To her husband's delight, she tries to please him in every way and takes care of the house. It doesn't matter what anyone says, Emma realizes she is not happy. She was raised in a convent, but the love story she devoured as a teen made her believe that her life would be exactly like the one she read. Both she and she disliked the provinces. What she got instead was an apathetic marriage devoid of intrigue or lust. Marquis Standervilliers once needed Charles' help at his castle, and as he was paying the bill, he encountered Emma and was stunned by her grace. They were asked to a formal event by him. Emma had a great time at the ball, but she felt bad about Charles when she was surrounded by aristocracy. Charles and Emma have a difficult relationship, and Emma realizes this after the ball. They all went unattended. Her physical and mental well-being were both deteriorating as a result of her emotional turmoil. As her condition deteriorated, she grew increasingly pale, disoriented, and felt her heart racing. Charles and Emma relocated to Yonville-l'Abbaye, a larger region in France. Emma, too, learned she was expecting. They've met a pharmacist named Homais in their new town, and Charles has expressed an interest in prescribing his meds to Homais. They also met Léon Dupuis, a lawyer. In contrast to her time with Charles, Emma found herself engaging in a wide range of talks with him. Berthe was born soon after her mother's death. When Léon first saw Emma, he was awestruck and fell in love. Aside from saving money, keeping the house in order, and helping the destitute and ailing, she was a popular member of society. Emma's dissatisfaction grows and she tries to find solace in the church, but it was futile. Léon gave up on Emma after moving to Paris because he thought she was unattainable. For the sake of Emma's mother and health, she prevents her from reading her love stories. Emma and Rodolphe Boulanger were introduced by chance and immediately fell in love. Emma is thrown to the wolves because of their growing romantic relationship. Because Charles had no doubts about her abilities, he purchased a horse for her so she could ride with Rodolphe. In the back of her mind, Emma keeps imagining how much better her marriage would be if she were in love with her husband. When Rodolphe stops making an effort to win her over, she loses the excitement she had at the beginning of their relationship. After a botched procedure, she rushed back to Rodolphe because she was upset with Charles. When she falls in love, she doesn't keep it a secret. Emma began planning her escape with the help of her lover and her child. In a letter to her, Rodolphe explained that he had changed his mind at the last minute and blamed it on fate. Emma is sick for 43 days and has a fever. Emma was causing Charles to run into financial difficulties as a result of his rampant frivolity. Instead of recommitting herself to her family, Emma fully devotes herself to her relationship with God as she begins to heal. Charles takes her to Paris, where she meets Léon for the second time. Emma started meeting Léon soon after Charles left them alone. Léon came to the conclusion that he couldn't keep up with her because she was out of control. Emma's debt piles up to a point where she is unable to make payments. Because no one is willing to assist her, she took some arsenic from the pharmacist's stock. When Charles read her letter, he suspected something was wrong, and Emma died. He's starting to see what she's done, but he's not going to hold it against her. He deteriorates and dies as a result. She discovered her father's body. After her grandmother's death, Berthe moved in with her aunt, who connected her with a job in a cotton mill. Emma Bovary is the main character whose life expectations were affected by the novels she had read. As a naive lady, Emma is made to feel like a victim by the character she plays. She was torn between the actual world and the story she'd read in books. Unfortunately, she was driven to suicide by the lofty ideas she had inherited from her favorite books. In the event that Emma's expectations of passion, which she had read so much about, were not met, she tried to fulfill herself by taking care of her husband and the home. However, this did not work out. Following her attendance at a ball, she came to terms with her true desires and found out just how unhappy she was in her marriage. After years of being single, Léon's attention brought her some happiness. As soon as he went, she began to regret not having a connection with Léon. As a result, it didn't take long for Rodolphe to win her over. Upon realizing what she had done, Emma became ill and had to be taken to the hospital. When her ex-boyfriend Léon came back into her life, she began to think of finding happiness as far away as possible from her marriage. She tried to make up for her lack of romanticism with a lavish lifestyle, but when she was on the verge of bankruptcy, she poisoned herself. Charles Bovary is characterized as an individual we should have pity for because he is a bit pathetic. He enjoys the simple things in life, is neither very ambitious nor particularly educated, and relishes the opportunity to remain ignorant. When he met Emma, he was well into his 30s and had already been married. He was a divorced man looking for a new wife. He was infatuated with Emma and their son. He didn't object to Emma's desires, but he was saddened by the conflict between his mother and wife. Because of his devotion to his wife, his lack of initiative, and the influence of others, Charles ended himself as a victim. For a long time, he didn't even know he was average. When he was in school, he had to learn a lot of difficult skills and all he ever wanted to do was live in the village. As soon as he graduated from high school, his mother forced him to marry an elderly woman who had tuberculosis. After his first wife died after only 2 years of marriage, he met Emma. It's not that Charles was a bad guy since he strove to be excellent as a husband and physician. Emma's death was caused in part by this man, despite the fact that he was a fine person with good intentions. There was a conflict between Emma and Charles because she had a lot to offer and he didn't ask for anything in return. He was content with the little things in life and felt content. Emma's hate towards her husband grew as time went on since she couldn't stand such an average husband. Léon Dupuis was an intern at a law office and at first sight he fell in love with Emma. Because she was married, he didn't have the guts to tell her how he felt. He was a gentleman with a refined demeanor and a soft smile. Having given up hope that he might achieve his goals at home, he traveled to Paris to finish his education. When he returned, however, he was no longer a youngster but a man who understood exactly what he wanted. They began a relationship after he decided to tell Emma about his feelings for her. Instead than having Léon meticulously manage his money like Emma did, he was constantly showered with lavish presents from her. Even if his time in Paris had altered him, he was still the same person, therefore he declined Emma's offer to withdraw money from the office where he worked. Léon didn't show up for an arranged meeting because he wasn't ready to let a romance ruin his profession. Instead of feeling guilty, he felt a sense of relief overtake him. In addition to owning the Château La Huchette, Rodolphe Boulanger is a nobleman with a high sense of self-worth and Emma's first love. He's been described as a multifaceted character that is meticulous, methodical, enthusiastic, and pushy all at once. Emma's inexperience astonished him, but he quickly won her over. In the end, he was only looking for a good time and she was nothing more than a pawn. Initially, he found the thrill of forbidden kisses exciting, but he quickly found them tedious. Rodolphe had a sudden surge of desire for Emma after things had cooled down between them. He couldn't bring himself to do it, so he walked away from Emma before they made their getaway. While the relationship was nice for him as long as she asked nothing, he couldn't dedicate himself to her and her daughter. His coldness made him unable to tell Emma the truth, so he instead sent her a letter full of words and phrases that had nothing to say. On their next meeting, Emma sought for money and he offered her just false promises. When he visited her again, he had no reaction to the news that she had poisoned herself and continued on with his life as usual. Justine was adopted by Omé and he is a side character who recognizes the plot, but regardless of the fact that he isn't the main character, he was always present. Even though he wasn't Emma's personal maid, he washed her clothes and catered to her every whim without her knowledge. His adoring Madame, Emma, had written him love letters, and he was privy to all that was going on in her life. He relished their intimacy, and he knew he was the only one who actually cared about her. Having failed to prevent her death, he visited her grave daily, eventually relocating to Rouen to be with her ashes. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.